It is said that knowledge is power. Actually, knowledge is not power, knowledge is potential power. Only applied knowledge acts as a power. Now it's time to hear from great leader who has applied knowledge and transforming the business. Mr. Satish Sharma, President, Asia Pacific, Middle East and Africa and Wholesome Director, Apollo Tyres Limited, Chairman of Automotive Tire Manufacturers Association, is here with us today to share his thoughts. Just to give a quick introduction, as a president of Apollo Tyres, Mr. Satish Sharma guides strategy and oversees the implementation of key functions like manufacturing, sales and marketing, customer relations and profitability in Asia Pacific, Middle East, Africa. A member of company's management and supervisory board, he's a man who prefers taking challenges head-on. He's credited with Apollo's steady growth in his last 5 years. Mr. Satish Sharma began his career with JK Tyres, moving very soon to the position of a manager, where he was responsible for brand and product management, planning and development, advertising, sales and promotion, market research, after-sales service. He joined Apollo Tyres in 1997 as a product manager and was gradually promoted to the position of chief marketing. Sharma's eye for new products and market strategies has contributed consistently to the company's progression. Known for his innovative marketing initiatives and exceptional leadership qualities, he continues to mentor and coach business units within the organization. Satish took over as a Chief India Operations for Apollo Tyres in April 2006. In early 2014, he was redesignated as the President of Asia Pacific, Middle East and Africa region and was inducted to the board as the whole-time director in March 2019. A chemical engineer from the National Institute of Technology, Raipur, Madhya Pradesh. He holds postgraduate diploma in business management from Institute of Management Technology, Ghaziabad. He's a member of Institute of Engineers, Indian Rubber Institute, and All India Management Association. An avid sports person who is extremely passionate about his fitness. Sharma enjoys golf and running, and he actively participates in a half marathon held every year. Now, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together to welcome a great leader, Mr. Satish Sharma. Let's have inspiring learning experience.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's indeed a privilege and honor for me to be amidst all of you today. I'm here at the request of Mr. Janak Mehta, who's been guiding our organization for over a decade now. And he sort of requested me to share our experience. And I thought, yes, probably the time has come to speak a little bit about our organization in a wider audience. And indeed, it was a pleasure listening to Ando-san. And I was even reflecting as he was talking about what policy management is and not is, and what daily management is and not is, of the infinite mistakes that we are making. And even as I was reflecting about as he was speaking, we are still very much a student in practice, I should put it. So by no stretch of imagination, we are an authority or an expert. And the idea is to just share our experiences and if you can learn from it, or if it guides or inspires you in any which way, I think it would be some substance that would have been migrated in the session. So let me just start with a little bit of introduction about our organization, which is, we are within the industry the only company which is an Indian multinational, you can put it like that. because we had acquisitions in 2006 and 2009, we stepped out of our comfort zone from India. So we are a global company in that sense. We now have two significant tire brands. The brand Apollo Tyres is very well known to you. The other one is a Dutch brand by the name of Vredestein. It's got a difficult name. And we spoke about the virtues or the lack of it, of English, but this is a Dutch name, and I'm sure it's equally difficult, if not more. We have two R&D centers, one in very much in this city, one in Chennai. It's a very large R&D center housing about 200 plus scientists, and another 150 in Netherlands, the second R&D center. We have 7 manufacturing facilities, 5 in India and 2 in Europe, 1 in Netherlands and 1 in Hungary. And we are doing business in approximately 100 countries outside of India. We have 19,000 employees. As of last fiscal year, we had a turnover of $2.8 billion. Now, a quick timeline for you, and maybe, Thomas, I might need the pointers, I think. But till it comes, if you see, our journey started in 1977, which makes us 45 years young now. And like I said, we started our journey in the state of Kerala. That was a time when we were very much in the license system in our country. 2 plants in Kerala. This one will do?
Yeah. You need not point there.
So then, how will it do? Point on the screen.
No, not. You can just point. You can see the pointer there.
Okay, forget it. I'll manage without it.
Or this pointer is there. May not work in that.
Yeah, I'll manage. Thanks. So like I was speaking, 2006 and 2009 were 2 quick successions. And this came, if some of you may remember, we had a joint venture with Michelin in 2003, which lasted a year and a half, because it didn't go the intended direction with both the organizations thought. And that was a time that we took a clarion call that we want to be a self-sufficient company in, as far as technology is concerned. And up until then, everybody in the Indian tire industry was having a technological collaboration with someone or the other in the Western world, in India. So we said, if we really have to stand up in terms of what we believe and what we think we are, we need to really take ownership of technology. And that was the time we decided that we will develop our own technology. We need not have any collaborations. And in fact, we went the other way around and we did 2 acquisitions. We worked with a whole lot of consultants from outside. And we also absorbed a lot of knowledge through the acquisitions that we did as we stepped out. And today, I think where we stand in terms of technology is pretty much the curve between us and the rest of the world in terms of product technology is pretty much, the difference is not too big. We are there. You can say we are still not into basic research, but in applied product technology, etc., we are as good as the rest of the world. And then there was this whole thing of setting up marketing, sales subsidiaries outside of India. We have a lot of them. And the Chennai plant came in 2010. And from Kerala, we stepped out to another plant in Baroda in 1991. So after 2 decades, almost 2 decades, a greenfield was done in Chennai, which incidentally is perhaps Asia's largest tire plant. It's converting about close to 1,000 tons a day, 900 something, when it runs at full capacity, which is not always the case in these terrible times. And then we put a plant in Hungary, Eastern Europe, because the cost structure in the company that we had acquired in Netherlands was prohibitive, and the flow of manufacturing was happening towards the eastern part of that continent. So we set up a plant there in Hungary, and then another plant in AP close to Sri City. So in a span of 5 years, there was this gap of 2 decades from Baroda to Chennai, but then within a span of 5 years, we set up 3 greenfields. And today, therefore, our organization believes that in terms of setting up big capital projects. It has acquired a sense of collective expertise. There's a lot of bandwidth in the organization which is able to deliver all of these. And as many of you who would have experienced during COVID, much of commissioning is done by the OEMs, and they could not travel, which lent to further learning of being able to set up and commission these machineries by ourselves. So that's been our timeline of setting up various infrastructures for our company. Now let's jump quickly to where do we stand today. And right now we are in this midterm plan, as we call it, or a vision period, as you would call it, more easily understandable, is that we have a vision FY26. From our current FY22 turnover of 2.8 billion, we would like to go to a $5 billion organization. And then we have these vision and purpose statements. The vision statement says that we want to drive progress together. And that may not mean much to many of you, but there's a context to it. Internally, people understand it, which is that given our acquisitions, given the fact that we are a global company, and years that we have put together to integrate the organizations, there are still non-standardized ways of working. And Ando-san pointed about how the processes need to be standardized, and that's really the holy grail of management to make progress. So there are still areas where we need to come together as a global organization, standardize them. Various things the European organization does differently and the Indian organization does in a completely different way. It's also a matter of where the two culturally are, where the two market evolution cycles are, etc. But the whole idea is to come together and work together. And that's where driving, incidentally, there's a pun here because tires and automotive is supposed to be in the business of mobility. So driving progress and together as a team. That's just to give you a context. And our purpose, we are a company which is very people-centric. We do a lot and work with lot. I mean, it comes through very quickly whenever you will get engulfed in the Apollo's ecosystem that people is the center of gravity of doing things. And here there's an ongoing quest to enable excellence of our teams. That's somehow, and all of these statements, came around after doing a lot of dipstick and talking to a lot of people. So this is where we stand. And our values, the one in the center is one family, which is again, that's the feeling. It's very difficult to sort of articulate. There were times, what happened in this one family thing, again, the Indian organization's understanding of what one family is very different to the European organization of what they understand as one family. And we have had debates, should we sort of articulate it and spell it out, and then we just veer down to let it get absorbed the way it gets absorbed, and this time to standardize this one is perhaps going to be later, and perhaps it might never happen as well. So let's see how it progresses. And then following our passion, we are passionate bunch of people, and that again comes very naturally in the width and breadth of the organization. And finally, even what Ando-san said, we all need to take care of our planet, take responsibility for our actions. We are a part of a social ecosystem. We are not just here as an organization to do our limited blinkers on kind of a thing. So that's where the three values are. And this is where we have tried to sort of granulate the vision and decoding it from that and into a specific sort of aspirations that we have. Given that we have put 3 green fields, there's a whole lot of financial lexicon that we want to impregnate into the organization and concentrate on few things where the tires is a very, very highly, just like the rest of automotive, hugely capital intensive business. And our focus is shifting more and more to the return ratios. So besides talking just about the revenue, which normally is has been our parlance in the earlier years, in this vision period, we have also introduced talking about at what margins is the minimum acceptable margin at which we want to conduct our business, what is the return on capital employed that the business should generate, and these are bare threshold levels. Obviously, you would aspire to do better. And the next market for us is and possibly the next greenfield, if post this vision period, that might happen for us is North America. And that's where we are looking at making a big foray. And until this time horizon of FY26, we want to become a 300 million revenue there. And then there is this other ratio which keeps everybody happy is to be around 1. Of course, the vision we have given a more generous figure of 2. So, and then we also specified some of the pillars or drivers that we would expect the organization to work on, which would propel our acceleration. So I'm sure this is no different for most of you. Digitalization is being accelerated, and its need has been very well expressed during the pandemic. We have been in certain areas of digitalization ahead, but largely we have been a laggard. And since last 2 years, and specifically to this vision period, we would be ensuring that we are at the forefront of doing two things. Very broadly to give that point would be to, on one hand, improve efficiency by automating processes and stuff like that. But more importantly, using digitalization to create and disrupt existing business models. So that's the aspect which we think is more orbit shifting, and we are doing a lot of work there. Technology and innovation get center stage. We are a product company. Product leadership is our absolutely what we understand and what we want to aspire for and what we want to achieve. So innovation around our technology agenda is always been and will remain a very thing. People I've already spoken about. Another underutilized lever for us is our brand. So many people, and I don't know, we probably can do a dipstick here, but for years we have been known for our commercial vehicle leadership, tires and commercial vehicle, but many of you would be surprised to know that we are the market leaders as far as even car tires are concerned, and that's happened not today, it's happened over last 5-6 years back. So we are very much the top player in car tires, we are very much the top player in CV tires, and off-highway tires is another vertical where we are not the top player, but we are aspiring to be one. So it's our brand is an under-leveraged, we have not spoken much about it, and unlike some of our peers, you would not find us on cricket. We are a global company, and therefore we use soccer more than cricket to communicate that's what we do. But this is an area where you will see more and more action coming from our side. And then finally, sustainability, which I'm sure figures in every CEO's agenda, every company's agenda, and in our country has taken a very aggressive target, and we have declared our own roadmaps, we have made our own pledges, which are there in the public domain. And so those are the 5 levers even as we. So this time around our vision, to our mind at least, it communicates a lot to our teams. And I hope I've been able to sort of translate it for you as well. Now, quickly shift to the topic TQM or business excellence. And for me, particularly, I've always looked at it more as a business thing, because the company like ours, the minute you say it's quality management, and in India, it suddenly goes to, okay, this is not for me, or this is for the plant, or this is just, people are very siloed, and therefore, we've always tried to introduce it very softly. And ours has been a case of, and I would again take cue to his presentation of, it's nothing but improving your capability or organizational ability, as he's put it. So our journey has been since the time 2010 till now, which is quite a long period of time, wherein we have tried to improve step by step by step. And it's been a virtuous journey in one sense, but it also needs a lot of patience, it needs a lot of fortitude, it needs a lot of tenacity, it needs resilience, it needs the staying power, it needs directional sort of consistency. So all of those virtues have to be displayed to make it a success. And so that, you sort of do a PDCA all the time in towards improving yourself. And quite honestly, even today, when we look back, yes, we have understood quite a few things. We have improved on a vast variety of things, but there are still a lot that needs to be done. So I'll speak a little bit more in detail about it. And we have been doing this vision thing from 2005, 2006 onwards, ever since we broke the joint venture with Michelin. That's when it started. Our first vision period, which was FY 6 to 11, we just called it that we want to achieve $2 billion. We were a $500 million company then, and we want to achieve $2 billion. And we called it Passion in Motion. Like I said, we are a very passionate bunch of people, mobility, so we just sort of coined this phrase. There was an offsite done in Shimla in 2005, and a bunch of us, and most of them are still there, but some of the team has obviously changed. So we just coined this Passion in Motion. And lo and behold, we achieved this. We had no idea of what TQM is or what quality. It was just our passion. We said we have broken with this joint venture with Michelin. We were the market leaders in CV then. And we said we want to be self-reliant in technology. We had a great team together who believed in each other. There was good teamwork. And we said, let's go and do it. And how it happened really was largely because of inorganic acquisitions. We acquired two companies, like I told you, 2006 and 2009. So 500 million too. And India had liberalized from 91, and that was the golden period. Of course, 2008, there was the crisis, which did not impact India as such too much. Then we got emboldened by the success of going from 500 billion to 2 billion, which happened. We got really emboldened, and we said, okay, we've done in 5 years, 4 times growth, wonderful. And now let's try to do a 6 billion, which is just a 3x growth from 2 billion. And that also was largely led, if you remember, recall, or we did try to acquire a company called Cooper Tyres in North America. North America has been in our eyes for some time. And it almost went through. It was a classical leveraged buyout had it to happen. The capital markets had their own doubts. The analysts had their own doubt on whether Apollo can pull it through and whether it has the wherewithal to do something as humongous as this, which was a company double our revenue at that time. And then it did not go through because there was a Chinese partner to that arm, and they did not want to have an Indian father or an Indian parent. So that didn't go through, and that was a time when our previous integrations and acquisitions and integrations, so the company suddenly came under a lot of stress because acquisitions are fine. We achieved the 2 billion. Cooper, which took a lot of our management bandwidth, a lot of our attention went there, but then we started seeing our operations going awry, and a lot of what looked like a very golden story up until then, but there were intrinsic weaknesses in ours. So basically, if you look at the revenue chart, there is this steep growth, and then there is a period of meandering, where and also to be fair to us, because we are speaking in dollars, dollar that time was about 40 rupees to a dollar, which is now, as we know, is 83. So there's that impact of it as well built into this. So we had this period where we had, and if you see this yellow line, this is the time when actually Mr. Mehta did a diagnostic with us, and he sort of came and showed us the mirror to say, this is what the diagnostic is telling about your company. So you have a self-image of yourself, which is very much in the la-la land, but there is a ground reality which is screaming out and telling you something if you care to listen. And we listened to him, and we looked at it, and I'll come back to this a little bit again in my next slide. Just to finish the thought process here, so the next vision period, we spoke about, and that was a time also our European operations started stagnating, because the cost structure was very high, and then in Netherlands, we had put money into Hungary, which was still a lot of capex gone, no return. And at that cost of the Netherlands, we were just not making any money. And the verdict was out that will we be another Indian company who's not been able to make a European acquisition work? There are quite a few Indian companies who had ventured out. Thankfully, I can tell you where we stand today, and we look back, we have turned it around, and we are very much, actually that's the organization which is giving us right now doing better than Indian operation as well. So in that third vision period, we said that we want to be a premier tire company. And here premier is that, our way of thinking is invest in technology, create the best product, but also position it rightly. And so we do not ever buy market shares, or we do not discount ourselves to get where we want to go. And that's the sort of honest positioning we want, but we want a fair price for the excellent products that we make. So, and that's the thinking both in the European organization as well as Indian organization. So we did that, and specifically at that time we called out that in India, standalone, we want to now be a leader. So consolidated, incidentally, we are the leader in number one Indian tire company. But standalone Indian operation, we are slightly behind one of the leading companies here, which is what we want to, even standalone, be the number one. So that's that period, and now we have entered into the current vision. So all I want to say is the last 11, 12 years have been what Ando-san has spoken about, organizational abilities, and that's what we have been doing so far. So coming back to this diagnostic study which was done, and this Mr. Mehta, taken mostly out of my memory and did not refer back to the archives into your report. I was tempted to call you up and tell you to send me that report because I knew you would have it very handy, but then I thought let me just jog my memory. And so basically the story was that in product leadership we had only very few winning products, mostly around the CV side. And many of the products that we were bringing out in the market, the hit ratio was about 50%. So probability was 1 and 2 that you would get the product right or you would not get it right, because they were mostly developed through intuitive science rather than actual fact finding from the market. And then, of course, we had the classical issue of supply chain. Tyres is a very complex supply chain, as some of you perhaps might know. It's a product which is largely air transportation. It's big in volume, and it's very freight unfriendly, and it's very complex. There are thousands of SKUs to be matched to demand centers. And we had a classical problem of the right product not being available in the right place. And as an industry, especially in India, you would find that India is a value discerning market in many products, in tires more so. In those years, an analyst would look at a tire industry and say, if the raw material goes down, these guys will make some money. If the raw material goes up, these guys will go into making losses. So you're very much dependent on the external environment rather than your own sort of management wisdom. And OEMs, as many of my friends are here, obviously they have a higher leveraging and pricing leverage on the suppliers, and they try to squeeze the last thing out of you. And you do not make, so you make most of your margins in the aftermarket. And the aftermarket was competitive, and we didn't have the pricing power. So broadly, this was More importantly, if you look at the right side of the chart, and many of these are cultural issues. So, like I spoke about the integration challenges post the acquisitions, we flirted with a lot of structures, we made several kinds, a lot of centralization happened at a global level. We were not that big, but we sort of thought big, and we made complex org structures which did not work out, and then we refined them. Good thing about us is we learn quickly from our mistakes and we acknowledge them, and we move on from there with whatever experiences we get. There's a lot of firefighting because process excellence was not too much, and he spoke about processes as well. There was departmentalization, a lot of silos that had come in, and there was this duality of agility, and I'll try to explain what this means is that, and me and Mr. Mehta used to have good conversations about this, whereas I would always tell him that we are a company which is fast, nimble-footed, we make decisions fast. And that's where he sort of granulated it for us and told us, that there are certain decisions that you can take. So acquiring a company for us was a decision which can happen in 5 meetings. You analyze the balance sheet, you have bankers with you, you have all kind of people who can tell you whatever you need to know. You do a due diligence and you take a decision. So even such a huge, or putting a green field, where you're putting $500 million, is a decision which you just know that you make it. You don't sweat over it beyond a point in time. You just know. And there are decisions, so we felt we are very fast, but things like improving your availability of products. Now, even if you made a decision, okay, from tomorrow the product should be made available, it's not going to happen. I'm still, from where I was in 2010 to where I am today, I would say it's become stable. But am I excellent? Can be debated, And so then we understood this agility that is dual-faced, and we are good in certain kind of agile decisions, but we are actually slow in the rest of it. So this came out as a point, and as would happen, because there were these voices which you just become more opinionated, less facts, and that was what the diagnostic threw up. And like I said, we have had 11 years of capability building, and we have addressed each one of these issues, and we have stayed the course. Fortunately for the company, I would say, and also for me, I have been the leader from that time till now. So the credit and the debit both goes in that sense to the management of staying the course. So we have been looking at it. And when we started on the policy management, first time when it was introduced to us, for the first 2-3 years, I was actually, even doing it and hiding myself from the organization and doing it in a way that I would not speak too much about it, because explaining it to my bosses was a difficult thing, because they were now global and they were looking at European operation and Indian operation. And when I can't just go and tell them, now I'm doing policy management. What the hell is that? Yeah. So there was this, but bit by bit, as we de-layered it from there, and about 5 or 6 years back, it was then hailed as the best practice. So from being even a difficult discussion to one fine day, my boss, who's Neeraj Kanwar, who's the vice chairman, called up the European counterpart and said, listen, just look at what Satish is doing in his organization, and I think you need to follow the same thing. So that's the way the sort of things changed in our company. So we did a policy management, which would give us an annual operating plan, granulated the 5-year thing, and we did daily management, like I said, to fix the continuous things, the continuous improvement things. And we also did, again, which was introduced to us by Mr. Mehta, was customer value management, which is a very difficult concept, which is at a very broad level. It is just to enhance your value for the price that you're asking, But to to decode this and to bring it down to an actionable practice, it takes a lot. And we were able to do that successfully over time. We faltered many times, but we were able to. And then finally, over these 11 years of practicing this policy management, daily management combination, and many more things in between, the Chennai plant, we piloted applying challenging the Deming application price, and the result was that we got it this year. So only one portion of our organization did we, at no point in time, our objective was to get Demings. That was never our objective. So we were just doing because this made great sense to us. When we started practicing this, and our team really loved it. I mean, I got my encouragement because suddenly the team said, we are very clear on what you want us to do. So I also grew in confidence with every year of policy management, and it takes about 3 months of my time in the starting December till March, 3 to 4 months of where I involve a whole lot of maybe 100 top managers who work with me in developing the policy. It's not that I just develop it out of my office and deploy it. So it's become a very, very interesting experience and good. So very broadly, as you would already know, for us it's a mega reflection exercise. We actually call it Manthan inside our company, as you would relate to this word. We do all kind of examination, and this happens now through the year, where we in my XCOM meetings, there are people presenting reflective exercises and what's happening and what's not happening, and then there are emergence of directions that the way we try to practice it is, as the discussions keep on happening, the priorities sort of start emerging by themselves, and the bubbles that surface right to the top for that year are the ones that we pick up and say, okay, these are the things that are needed for the policy to address. And we go about doing it. Customer value management, I've already spoken about, and daily management. Very happy to tell you we're no longer a firefighting company. We are very much seriously involved in PDCA at a daily management level, and it throws up a lot of small improvement projects which then get done. But of course, this whole maintenance thing that he spoke about, and then taking it, so we are not very good at it, but we are we are a far cry from where we were, and we are reasonably good. And of course, we need to get better. Yeah? Just to give you a glimpse into our policy of this year, and this has evolved over 11 years, so every year it keeps on getting better. So this is just an executive summary which looks at, on the left-hand side, for example, how the macros are, so uncertain world, regulatory, COVID, geopolitical, all these things, cyber threats, strong inflation, rising cost, competition resurgence, and India's economic recovery, which is a K-shaped, and then high-impact projects coming out of those 4 powers, and then the culture, and on this year we spoke about high productivity, high performance. And like from the vision, we're drawing not just the revenue growth, but the financial metrics as well. So growth and return, how do we balance? All our decisions are balanced and looked from the 2 prisms of growth and returns, and how do we deliver value. So broadly, and we will work as one team and outperform the industry as a statement. And this is our business model, which keeps on getting refined year on year. I just wanted to give you a glimpse so that you can see how it is in practice. And some of the things highlighted in purple were introduced new this year. And again, it draws a lot from the vision that I shared. And it keeps on. And this takes a lot of time. This slide would take a lot of time. I would request not to take pictures for this one because it's proprietary. It may also go to our competition. And many of them may be sitting here. So, and then our KPIs also keep on refining. So the KPIs, so this is just for process power that I've listed down. And some of them, so the final distillate, so this is just a template slide. Now, coming to this, so at the end of these 11 years, where do we stand? So I've listed some of the cultural points. The first point, I think we are a more aligned team. Policy management helps us for alignment. Everybody is more clear, surely can be clearer, what Ando-san said. We can still do a better job. Like I said, I was already thinking when you were speaking. So we are more aligned. There is more cross-functional management is practiced religiously. Again, another term Mr. Mehta introduced to us was catchball. The first time I heard this word was, today we actively play catchball in our company. So when the budgeting exercise gets done, each function, for example, Thomas here sitting here would write down what are his priorities he wants to be seen in other functions, because for him to be successful in the Chennai plant, where all does he need support in key projects. So those functions would then, there would be a discussion happening and they would play catchball and say, okay, can I do this for you or I cannot do this for you? They will agree and prioritize and say, and then once the agreement happens, then it would go into their KPI. And then we would maybe once in 3 months look at it, whether the catchball, and so that's sort of, we brought more accountability and more sort of impregnation of. Then the other thing we discovered is that we would do things to improve cost in one area, maybe, and the trade-off happening in other areas was not seen, And again, lack of some digital tools and techniques which would not tell us. So we addressed this. Today we have a more wider perspective of looking at any management variable, and that sort of culture is developing. We are very much talking about how our productivity can be better. For example, this 5 billion we want to achieve by not adding any single headcount. So our productivity is obviously going to, and more fact-based management, more Gemba culture is now there. We'd like to go to the problem, see the problem, talk there, and not just do armchair management. So that's happened on the culture side. It's still work in process. I cannot claim that it's really everything that I've written here can be evidence 10 on 10. But relatively from where we were in 2011 to where we are now, I would give ourselves a generously good score. And in terms of business, like I said, we are now a full range player. Then we were just mostly a one category wonder. We are now leader in multiple categories. We are the best operating margins in Indian industry. We are the best, we're the lead player. We have gained market shares across categories. We have very high number of winning products. That 50-50 thing is probably now 80-20. Our supply chain is far more robust. Over the last few years, and many of your OEMs, you have given us and recognized our efforts, and we have won multiple awards, either for delivery or for quality or for innovation or for sustainability. Whatever the OEM is driving, we take it very seriously. We put it back and that's happened. We are the largest exporter out of India on the full range play. So we were the last when we started. Today we are the #1 company exporting out of India. 16-17% of our Indian revenue comes out of exports. All our plants are practicing daily management and policy management. They have not applied for Demings, but only Chennai has done, but the practice is uniform. There may be at different levels of maturity because Chennai got more, better input. And as far as people, we are within the top 50 manufacturing recognized by GPTW now for many, many years. Like I said, coming to Chennai, we recently got, congratulations to Thomas and his team once again. He's done us a lot of pride. And Chennai plant was really, like I said, it came after 2 decades of hiatus between Baroda and Chennai. 91 was our last, and then 2010. And here we really put our heart and soul. We put, it is really a fruit of our passion, and everything that we knew we put in Chennai. And it didn't disappoint. It gave us the market leadership in almost everything that he does. And it's probably more than 50% of our revenue and profits, both. And we always said, we didn't know a very good statement, but we would always tell the Chennai plant that we want you to be like Toyota, you know. I mean, just to, because that sort of says it all, yeah. So we said and to sort of evidence it, we said the first time we go to Toyota with our product, it should get approved in first time with them. And at that time, they would just deal with another Japanese player. They wouldn't touch the Indian producers. And happy to inform you, that's exactly what happened. We, in fact, even became one of their 100 global. I was honored to go to Japan and meet at least see Mr. Toyota from a distance. And so it was very nice. And then the good thing about the Chennai plant was that it was not our sort of advice to Chennai plant to take Demings or apply for Demings. It's the Chennai management which sort of asked us, can we go, and because we think we are ready and we are doing so much and it's a good recognition to have. And we said, yeah, it's a good idea. But we'll do it only for you and not for the... We were still not ready that we can do a company-wide. And again, we were still not there to sell quality management like that to the whole company, you know. So we said, okay, let's just do a pilot, and that's why we chose only Chennai. When they came in, I said, okay, it's a need you guys think, so we'll support you, and that's what happened. So Dr. Mehta and Dr. Kano-san, these two worked with us. Unfortunately, pandemic happened. Otherwise, we would have, hopefully, we would have got the award 2 years back, or, you know, so we couldn't apply, and Jose took a decision of not doing it virtually. So we, while we were ready 2 years back, I would assume, but we could not. But anyways, that did not really pester us too much, because, again, like I said, we were not there just to so, in fact, in those 2 years, I think they got stronger and more concepts. Dr. Kano introduced far more concepts. The vocabulary that Thomas and his team has, now we are in a phase where he is teaching us all those concepts. So, you know, that's what is happening. So, yeah, that was our Chennai journey. And now what we want to do. So when he got the Deming Prize, my boss now, Neeraj Kanwar, he did a town hall and he said, all of Indian operation is going for the Demings. So that's the transformation that came, the whole, I didn't have to tell him. I mean, he is so convinced himself now. And so that's our story. So if you can see here, there's a vision on the left-hand side, which we already explained to you, our global goals, vision, purpose, the drivers for growth. And then the TQM engine is going to support, which is the combination, like Ando-san said, of the policy and the, and we call it ATQM, which is Apollo Total Quality Management. That's what we call it. And yeah, we have all the necessary quality tools and some that Thomas has uniquely learned from Dr. Kano, which he's trying to teach us. So yeah, that's the summation of our entire thing. Thank you. Thanks for your...
Thank you, Mr. Satish Sharma, sir. It was wonderful to know the global perspective, how Apollo Tyres journey, and especially Chennai plant. As a ISQ, we want to congratulate Chennai team, and under your leadership, they won the Deming Award. Let's put your hands together. Now I request our Chennai ISQ President, Dr. Rajkumar, to present Momento.